If you're a good little boy, according to your society standard, it might just be that you're weak. Jordan Peterson says, a good man is a very dangerous man who has that under voluntary control, meaning he has the ability to be dangerous, and yet voluntarily and consciously decides not to be dangerous or, probably more accurately, use that dangerous skill set that he has in a controlled environment, in the right situation, when it's appropriate. There's a quote that I came across a lot of you are probably familiar with, and it's from Jordan Peterson. He says, a harmless man is not a good man. A good man is a very dangerous man who has that under voluntary control. That quote stuck out to me. I think it stuck out to a lot of guys who have heard, repeated it and shared it. So, I thought we could talk a little bit more about that today, specifically what it means to be a dangerous man. Then, how to make ourselves more dangerous, and why this is important in the first place. I'm going to take this in a slightly different direction than maybe you would think. We see a lot of men who don't have this under control, specifically, because they haven't had the male mentors, role model, coach, or fathers to teach them how to harness this raw masculine energy that's coursing through these young boys' veins. Then it comes across as violent and tragic and horrific in a lot of cases as well. It's our job as men to learn how to control this ability to be aggressive and competitive and violent at times, so that we can use it in a controlled manner that it will be more effective and that we'll be using it appropriately. Good man, then we've got our proficiency at skills, which makes us capable. Good men don't change the world. They might be nice to talk with and women might like them for a short period of time or put them in the friend zone. But the men who change the world are the ones who are capable. So, when I think about that word, capability, and I think about dangerous, I think those two things go hand in hand. If you want to be a capable man, capable of providing, protecting and providing, which is our motto, and not just motto but our way of life, then you need to be willing and able to be dangerous in the right set of circumstances. 1. Develop assertiveness. These next 4 points will certainly help you develop more confidence in your life. There are 4 communication styles that I want to point out. Passive communication. The passive communicator is weak. He doesn't share his ideas, and when he does share an idea, he makes excuses or apologizes for those ideas. Very rarely is he taken seriously. Passive-aggressive communication. The passive-aggressive communicator tries to pretend like he's passive or good in some way, and yet he's actually a very aggressive individual. He's just good at disguising it. This is the individual who can't take anything seriously. They've got a joke for everything. They're sarcastic, they undermine, they mock, they ridicule, they put others down, but they do it in a sly way. They give underhanded comments and compliments. This is the passive-aggressive communicator. And while they may be funny, for a short period of time, it becomes extremely exhausting dealing with these individuals because they don't know how to deal with difficult or awkward or uncomfortable conversations. And so they make light of everything, and they mock everything. It's ridiculous. That's a passive-aggressive communicator. Aggressive communication. An aggressive communicator wants to railroad everybody. It's a dominant red personality, who's a driver, who doesn't take no for an answer, who isn't willing to communicate with other individuals or take other things into consideration. And he just dominates and bulldozes everybody in every circumstance. Obviously, we don't have good success with this individual, and people don't like these types of individuals. So, they don't make great leaders. Now, you might look at and think, well, this is a great leader. A dictator is not necessarily a great leader. They may be able to produce results for a short period of time until people catch on and realize that they don't want to be led by this individual. And so they stop following voluntarily. An aggressive communicator might be able to get things done but can't do it long term. Assertive communication. What we should all be working towards is being assertive in our communication. In other words, you're willing to take on new ideas and new perspectives, and you're taking other people's thoughts and ideas and feelings into consideration. And yet you have a very clear idea of what you want. You're willing to and capable of sharing your ideas with other individuals. When you see that there's a problem, you don't push that off. You're not passive about it. You're not aggressive by bulldozing it, but you're taking all of the stimuli into consideration to figure out the best way forward. The most assertive individual is going to get the job done, the majority of the time over the longest period of time. Don't put the blindfold on. Don't pretend like threats don't exist when a conversation needs to be had. Don't bury your head in the sand and think that if you just keep it there long enough that somehow this thread or this conversation or this circumstance will go away. It won't. In fact, it'll get worse, and so a dangerous and capable man is able to recognize conversations and situations. And then he addresses those as quickly as possible, as efficiently and effectively as possible to A. neutralize the threat, or B, to get a further to advance the cause, whatever that may look like. Try to be assertive in all of your dealings and interactions. A couple of resources I'd give you is a book titled No More Mr. Nice Guy by Robert Glover. It's a great book that addresses nice guy syndrome, which is what he's dubbed it, and how to be more assertive. The second book is the Assertiveness Workbook, which will actually walk you through how to address scenarios and situations in a more assertive manner without feeling like you're being too aggressive or being too weak. It's the balance that's somewhere in the middle. If you liked the video so far and want to know about the scientific content of relationship, don't forget to subscribe. 2. Develop self-confidence. I know that most of you realize that you have to develop confidence or have a desire to develop confidence. Guys, it is so critical. I can't tell you how many people I've seen who are so weak and so passive, and lack any level of confidence in their lives. And of course, when they're faced with a violent situation, or a natural disaster, or even just as something as simple as asking for a raise or asking a woman on a date, they have no ability to do this, because they don't have any confidence in themselves. And what these guys believe is that somehow that some men are just born with high levels of confidence. That's not the case. There may be pride, there may be an overinflated ego, and a sense of arrogance, but you don't get to be confident just because. It has to be earned. So, you have to go out and do the things that are going to make you confident. You have to go out and earn that. As you're sitting here listening to this video and thinking to yourself, well, man, I'm just not as confident around women, or I'm not as confident around my boss, around highly successful people, then the next question should be, what can I actually do in my life to develop more confidence? Now, some of the things I'm going to share with you as we progress are naturally going to help you become more confident, but if you feel fear towards any conversation, any engagement, any action activity, any hobby, then that's probably a pretty good indicator that you could develop a sense of confidence by tackling that thing, by facing that activity head on and getting it done anyways. You don't need to be confident to develop confidence. What you need is to be courageous, and any one of us in the right set of circumstances with the right mindset can exhibit courage. When we exhibit the courage to go do the things that we're afraid of, we get done with that thing. And we realize that maybe it wasn't as bad as I thought it was, or that it was bad, but I did it anyway. And it's through developing skill sets, is through developing the ability to overcome the things we're afraid of, that gives us the level of confidence that we need. And when we're confident, we can be more dangerous. We have more capability to face what needs to be faced and to do what needs to be done in the face of the fear that we might be experiencing. Too many men cower. They tuck tail and they run because they don't have any level of confidence, and when they're faced with a difficult circumstance, they can't be dangerous or capable men because they haven't developed that confidence. 3. Be an effective communicator. This kind of ties back into assertiveness, but there's so much more that goes into communication. Ultimately, you need to learn how to communicate effectively with others. So, if you're negotiating a raise or proposing to your soon-to-be fiancé and wife, if you're disciplining your children, if you're engaged with a would-be attacker, then you need to be able to communicate effectively towards that individual to produce the outcome that you're after. If you can't open your mouth and use your sounds and use your words in a way that will illustrate exactly what you're all about and exactly what you're after, then you're probably not going to achieve your objective. One of the interesting things about the topics and the points that I'm making with you today is that they're all intertwined. If you become a better communicator, you are naturally going to develop more confidence, because when you say something, it's going to be followed through, and then you'll realize you're capable of doing that. Assertiveness requires your ability to communicate and vice versa. Your ability to communicate requires that you have some level of assertiveness. So it's not like these things can be taken out and isolated. These decisions can be made in a vacuum. They're all interdependent of each other. When you improve one area, whether it's communicating or knowing. 4. Know what you want. Knowing what the ultimate objective is. I know that if I asked 100 men, tell me what you want, most would probably say something like, well, I want to make some more money, or I want to have better relationship, or I want to be fit. And although that is good, I think that's a worthy objective that you should be striving towards. I think that if you're not specific enough, that you're probably not going to accomplish that thing. And you're not going to know how to get there, and you're not going to be able to smash through the barriers that will inevitably present themselves. Now, if you're crystal clear, if you are hyper-focused, very, very specific on what you want to accomplish. I don't want to get healthy, I want to be to 10% body fat. I don't want to be strong, I want to be able to bench 300 pounds or deadlift 450 pounds. I don't want to have a good marriage. Instead, define a good marriage. I don't want to be wealthy. Rather, I want to have $10 million in my bank account. This is a huge distinction and difference. When you know what you want, whether it's career advancement, or in your relationship with your wife, or your kids, whether it's your health or your bank account, then you can smash through those barriers. You can overcome the hurdles and obstacles and the challenges. You can also call upon resources that you've identified as needing to be able to incorporate into your life to achieve those objectives and to overcome the hurdles that again present themselves. You'll see compounding returns when you start to take some of these things into consideration and then incorporate them in your life and get better in these soft skill sets. So again, I am Majid 2006. Thank you for watching the video till the end. Now, if you want to be successful in romantic relationships and know more, subscribe to my channel. I made many tutorials for you. I will kiss you, my dear.